Well, folks, it turns out, well, actually, let's start it this way. This is a special edition of Politics Done Right. I just got through hyperventilating, or rather, watching the hyperventilation of the mainstream media as they all gloat in Joe Biden's win. And you know what? Joe Biden should be congratulated for having such a huge win. Of course, he had the mainstream media on his side pushing the narrative. Of course, he had the party pushing the narrative, showing a bias towards him. That's understandable. But in analyzing exactly what occurred, it is important for us to understand there's one particular metric that stood out to me. And it was the one that said 50% of the voters who made up their minds and voted for Joe Biden, the person who influenced them was was Clyburn. And what that tells me is that for all practical purposes, a lot of people were undecided and they just needed a catalyst to move. And that movement went from, well, you know what, let's go ahead and use our experienced person in Congress to decide who we are going to vote for. Now, the other states that have voted, again, all of them decided that they wanted transformational change. That's 3 states. It is true as well, however, that Biden is now the popular vote leader. We ought to be consistent. Right now, it doesn't matter who the people are. In a democracy, Joe Biden, at this instant in time, more people have voted for him than anybody else. That will immediately change, likely on Super Tuesday. But let's be frank, because on Super Tuesday, we want to come out and be able to say, those of us who are Bernie Sanders supporters, to get out there and say that Bernie Sanders has won not only the popular vote in the biggest state, but the most delegates in the biggest state, and that will be something that will be almost insurmountable. But again, it's one race at a time. We ought to understand what's going on now, and that is we have a media, we have a plutocracy, we have an oligarchy that is vested in a Joe Biden win, a good man, but a person who has told his rich, what should I call them? Benefactors, that they'll have nothing to worry about if he becomes the party nominee and ultimately the president. That's not what we want to hear. We want to hear that it is time for those who have made it on the backs of others to ensure that the backs of others ultimately is made whole. Now, the other thing that is very disconcerting about the coverage is that now they've made it a two-man's race. A Bernie Sanders versus a Biden. What about Klobuchar? What about Warren? What about all these other folks that are vested and, again, with a very small number of delegates apportioned as yet? That is the utter disregard of women by the media. Warren may not have gotten the top 3, but what she has isn't chump change. Klobuchar, that is a little bit more debatable. But Elizabeth Warren is right in the game, and until California and Texas come out and we see the power of what she does, it is impossible for us to make this a two-man race. It is sexist. It is wrong. Okay, Will E. Wombat says, so by your graph, are you invested in a Sanders win? Asking because I don't see the relevance to what's going on in South Carolina right now. No, what I'm trying to say here with the poll that I put out there is that this isn't a South Carolina race. This is an ongoing race, Will Wombat. This isn't a Iowa race, a New Hampshire race, a Nevada race. This is a United States race. And like I mentioned, if you got me from the top of the program, it is true that now Joe Biden has the most popular vote. So more people have voted for Joe Biden than have voted for any other candidate. That will change more than likely on Super Tuesday by a mile. And if that is the case, the same enthusiasm that I see over what Joe Biden has done in South Carolina, which I think is what he did in South Carolina with the help of Jim Clyburn, I think is a great thing. Now, I'm disappointed. And the reason I'm disappointed is I don't like the patriarchal state where one person decides, okay, I think you should vote for XYZ. When I talk about voting for particular candidates like Sanders or Warren, we are supposed to be trying to convince them based on things they have done, things that they have promised to do. And I don't think personally, for the type of voting that he got in South Carolina, what he has promised warrants that. There's no policy that South Carolina is a very poor state. And there's no policy that Joe Biden has put out there to lift those folks out of poverty. It doesn't hurt them as Donald Trump's policies will hurt them, but it sure as hell, there's no policy. There is no policy that Joe Biden has put forth that's going to help the downtrodden in South Carolina. There's none. I'm sorry. Even Andrew Yang with his what is it called? I don't remember what the policy is called. Even Andrew Yang with the pay it forward kind of income. What is it called? Help me, folks. Those of you that are watching, I can't remember the name right now. Anyway, basic income. Even him with basic income has a policy that would be there to help those folks in South Carolina. But you know what Joe Biden and them call that? Free money. It's not free money. It's an investment in making people's lives better. They don't want that. Joe Biden doesn't want Medicare for all. He just wants to add a UBI. Thank you very much, Nathan Gray, and thank you very much, Maurice Carlisle. Carlisle. Absolutely. I got the best listeners, man. You guys know your stuff. So as it turns out, there's nothing that Biden is offering the poor people in South Carolina that's going to lift them up. What was offered to South Carolina was that James Clyburn, their head of Congress, has told them that he likes Joe Biden. And as a part of the establishment, Joe Biden is a person that you should pick. That is, and when I call it a patriarchal state, I'm not saying that just pulling that out of the air. If 49% of people tell you, I decided to vote for Biden because James Clyburn told me he is voting for Biden and I respect James Clyburn, it is almost saying, it's not almost saying, it shows it's very patriarchal in nature, not necessarily otherwise. Okay, let's see. Lawrence says, but he probably didn't influence early voters. Since Tom dropped out and if Bernie wins Alabama 52 and Tennessee 64 and does good in Virginia and Texas and California, it will probably be a race between Biden, Sanders, and hopefully Warren. And that's, Lawrence, I think you hit it on the nail because I think Bloomberg is going to have to fall out in the long run because Americans are starting to see that money in politics just ain't going to do it. Maurice Carlisle says Joe Biden is an establishment candidate. Absolutely so. Most elder black voters who get their info from MSNBC voted yes for Biden. Maurice Carlisle, I could not agree more with you. And again, I am not going to diss the black voter in North Carolina and in South Carolina as bad as I have before. Because again, political education and awareness is a process. And the best way to get to that process, as you know, is to go ahead and make your point and continue to move forward and to win. But I have an admonition for my brothers and sisters that are Bernie Sanders supporters. Number one, don't take this loss, and this was a loss for Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders thought that as the polls were closing, they could have made a difference. He could not have imagined that James Clyburn's words could have the power that it has, or that it had. He could not imagine that. But that said, a word to the Bernie Sanders army, if you will. You have to go out there and continue to win people. You have to go out there and continue to move the revolution, move the explain the transformation in a format that meets the people that you're speaking to. Let them understand that this isn't about taking away or from anybody. This is about providing to those who have earned it and ensuring that those who have taken it away unfairly, unjustly, will do their part to give it back. And giving it back in the form of, yes, Medicare for all, in the form of what? A Green New Deal. In the form, and Green New Deal is a moneymaker, is a big moneymaker. Don't ever forget that. Sell the Green New Deal as a something that's going to create millions of jobs. And of course, we also want to talk about care for kids and student loan forgiveness. Student loan forgiveness is an economic driver. Why? Because those people that are not paying their monies back to a bank are going to buy homes and cars and washers and dryers and explode the economy instead of just enriching a few bankers who have ripped Americans off with the interest rates, with the legally fraudulent loans that they give to people. So I want you all, Bernieks, to raise those heads up high and understand that you have to go out there, like I will go out there as well, like I did in Nevada. And by the way, Nevada, we won big, not because Harry Reid wanted Joe Biden, not because the plutocracy got to the culinary union to try to malign Bernie Sanders, but because grassroots were all over Nevada, rural areas, and not only rural areas, but in the cities and everywhere else. They were out there talking to the people, respecting the people, talking to the people's needs, talking to the people's wants. Don't let South Carolina stop that dynamic. That dynamic was usurped by a very powerful establishment Democrat named James Clyburn, who has a population that is amenable to simply being told what to do. Most of America in these large state areas do not follow that particular pattern. So therefore, what we have to do, those of us who want progressive values, we have to go out there and earn them. We have to go out there and work people 1 time, 2 times, 10 times, 100 times. And we have to make sure on election day to bring them to the polls. We have to remember, in California and a lot of these areas, a lot of numbers are already in. A lot of votes are already in. But it's not enough. On that day, on Super Tuesday, from Alabama to Massachusetts to Texas to California and everywhere else, let's get out there, man, and let's do it. Those phone bankings have to get busy. And a special message to my young millennial and Gen Z brothers and sisters. The media is making a fool out of you. They're saying you go ahead and you worship the progressives, whether it be Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren, but you don't go out there and vote. Again, like I said, there's something special about South Carolina. Let's make sure and not let that happen in California, in Texas, and all these places. Young people, this is for you. Those of us that are boomers or older Gen Xers, we've already taken all the stuff that was really warranted for you. Don't let that continue. If you want to ensure that your student loans are paid, if you want to ensure that when those older one of us are gone, that there's something left for you, you have to step up. To my millennial brothers and sisters, To my younger Gen Xers, you got to step up. You have to go vote. You can't let rain stop you. You can't let snow stop you. You can't let the heat stop you. You can't let the cold stop you. Because the plutocracy is always going to be using those most vulnerable to vote for them, to hurt not only them, but hurt you and extract from you. These are difficult times, and I am kind of happy for this setback for one particular reason. And that is, it gives us more urgency to go out there and drag every vote to the poll, convince everyone. Everyone. Now, that, let's see, Raynard Blake, I am so disappointed with South Carolina Negroes. You don't need to be disappointed. I'm gonna put the blame on us. We didn't make the case enough. We have. Look, if there are a group of folks that are not very well informed on what things really mean, they don't understand that Biden's policies do nothing for them. How do you have to assume that they're intelligent, and if you make the case appropriately, that you can get to them. I think a lot of times we don't do that. I think a lot of times we have to first assume we're wrong. We have to first assume that we are just getting the narrative wrong. We have to assume that we have more work to do. As opposed to saying, I am disappointed with those South Carolina Negroes. That even sound kind of a little bit, come on, Raynard, come on. I don't think that sounds too cool. But still, I understand your sentiment. Especially black folk in South Carolina should not have been voting the way they voted for Joe Biden. That is disappointing because, again, if we were to enumerate all the policies of all the folk that were on that stage, only Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders' policies would actually materially affect their lives. The policies of Joe Biden would have just been the status quo, would have just left things open that they can be bankrupted for healthcare, that they don't have any real things going forward. And that is what we have. That is a message we have to tell. So Raynard Blake, instead of saying I'm disappointed with the South Carolina Negroes, don't say that. I don't even like that name. I like black people, white people, Latinos. But, and I only do the separation because we do that in America for a silly reason, for historical reasons. I like people, human. Anyhow, so that said, no, Elizabeth Warren is not a fraud, and she's not a fake progressive at all. I mean, let's not do that, Mr. X. Love you, brother, but we can't, or I'm assuming you're a guy. We can't do that, Mr. X. We cannot do that. Elizabeth Warren is a good woman. Elizabeth Warren is a true progressive. Elizabeth Warren may not be as I don't want to say as progressive, as outwardly as Bernie Sanders, but Elizabeth Warren is a good woman, and she's done a lot. Do not take away what she's done for the Consumer Protection Agency. That was powerful. I did the research, Mr. X. I did. I really did. And she's on my list. My list is, my list starts out with, my first place person is Bernie Sanders, followed by Elizabeth Warren, followed by, it was Steyer until he came out. Before Steyer was Yang until he dropped out. I don't know who my third person is going to be. It seems like it's down to two because I don't see another progressive running in the race. But so, Mr. X, yes, look, it's a race and she's behind. You cannot expect her to just put her tail between her legs. She has to try to differentiate herself from Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is a big boy. He can handle it. He can handle it, Mr. X. He can. Let's remember, we want both Bernie and Elizabeth Warren in that race. Right now, we want Elizabeth Warren and Bernie staying in that race. Both of them. Because there are some people who right now at this point in time will not vote for Bernie. Okay, Mr. X, Bernie, Tulsi, or bust. Keep watching Politics Done Right. We're gonna be talking. Okay, Mr. X, we're gonna be talking because there are more effective things for us to say. We don't need to be saying those things right now. Effectively, what we want to do is we want to build a progressive base hugely. Okay, let's see. Delphine Chimbakala says, I am as well disappointed. How come after being hurt by the whole neolib agenda for decades? Sorry, but something is wrong with the black votes, which is different from shaming voters. Again, that's a difficult, that's a difficult thing to talk about, Delphine. What happens, right, is there is a certain amount of patriarchy that is more substantial in South Carolina. So when you look towards your leaders to make a decision, it's no different than Appalachia voting for the person, for some of the leaders they believe in who says go vote for Trump. Okay? That's what it's like. It's no different. There are a lot of areas in this country that are very patriarchal, and you get somebody like Clyburn and he can bring in a whole lot of people. So let's look at it as we had to. I tell you something else that Clyburn did. Everybody think Clyburn was very thought about. Oh, he thought about when to endorse Joe Biden. Clyburn was strategic. Clyburn knew that an endorsement for Joe Biden earlier on would not have been lasting. So he made that decision to endorse Biden at just the right time. And just the right time meant when people didn't have enough time to hear an alternative view. So we could have gone and continuously made the case. I hadn't heard anybody make the case and said the policies supported by Bernie Sanders would help you much more than the policies supported by Joe Biden. I really did not see that. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm not in South Carolina, but I didn't see a big case made where we had to come out. And that is all this stuff about playing nice. That's what happens a lot of times. Nobody comes out and says, if you have the public option versus Medicare for all, this is how it will impact your personal economy, black people. And if you had this is how it would affect your personal economy. We are going to have to make those huge contrasts going forward now, not tomorrow, now. Okay, I got some more messaging coming in. Let's see. Elizabeth Warren stated she is a capitalist to her core. I want to address that. Elizabeth Warren calls her things not responsible capitalism, accountable capitalism, okay? That is like me saying I am a democratic socialist who believes in free enterprise, which is what I am, right? I don't know what the differences are. Free enterprise, the people are using capitalism in the same form that they use free enterprise. What I have been trying to tell is capitalism as defined is evil. Free enterprise is just that, free enterprise. Capitalism says I am slavery. Why? Because I can split up different companies in all these little pieces and have people who do no work make a whole lot of money on your back. The whip is no longer a whip. It's no longer that thing that pierces your skin. It's no longer a whip. And by the way, folks, if you're listening to me now on YouTube Live, you can always give us a super chat to make sure we can keep doing this stuff. We do this stuff 5 days a week. This is a special edition on Saturday after Super Tuesday. But here's the deal. So you can super chat me. Hit that $ and say we are going to help you keep the flow of the real messaging out there. But here's the deal. Luna Diana says Tulsi needs to drop out. She's ridiculous. I don't call any of these candidates ridiculous. Tulsi just doesn't have a pathway, in my opinion. Okay, Mr. X says only Bernie and Tulsi is not taking PAC money. That's mostly true. Elizabeth is not quietly taking direct PAC money, but she's allowing other PACs to work on her behalf. Luna Diana says, don't blame the voters. They don't owe Bernie anything. Luna Diana, no voter owes any candidate anything. So it's not about Bernie only, my friend Luna. It's much deeper than that. Let's see. Did I read this one about I am as well disappointed neoliberal? Yeah, yeah. We don't need to shame the voters at all. Let's see. Mr. X says only Bernie until no, we did that already. Luna, we got that. Mr. X says Elizabeth Warren stated she's like I think I explained that one. I believe in free enterprise. The free enterprise I believe in is what Elizabeth is calling capitalism. Because if you take a look at what she wants, let's be clear. Read her document, Accountable Capitalism. When we make these statements, let's please make sure that and that's how we have to be when we're talking to our people as well. When we're trying to bring people into the fold, we have to tell them how things really are. Her Accountable Capitalism wants employees as part of the board of directors. She wants employees as stakeholders. Right now, employees are not considered stakeholders. They take whatever we give, whatever the corporatocracy gives them, the employees have to take. Where unions are involved, the unions are in a very weakened position. Under her accountable capitalism, the law will dictate that the boards must have the employees, which means the employees have a voice and much more. Now, I am, so the thing about it, the reason why she did that is, I think, believe it or not, I think it's, if you're marketing yourself, I think marketing as an accountable capitalist has a better sound for a large portion of American than a democratic socialist who believes in free enterprise, which is what it is. And when you hammer both of the policies down, you realize it turns out to be the same. All right? I don't think anybody that I know who call themselves a democratic socialist is asking for all means of production to be controlled by the government, because that eliminates free enterprise. I don't know anybody who believes in that right now, because I have a software company, or had a software company, and I believe in, if I want to create whatever I want to create, we should all be able to do so. Okay, Lynn Collins. And you know what? Let me call out everybody for being here. I want to thank you all guys for being here. Will E. Wombat, thank you for being here. Maurice Carlisle, Nathan Gray, Lawrence Sims, let's see, Reynard Blake, Mr. X, Delphine, Chimbakala, Luna, Diana, welcome for being here. Lynn H. Collins, thank you for being here. Luna Day, and I think I called you out before. All right, let's see. There's a plantation mentality in South. Reynard Blake says there's a plantation mentality in South Carolina. I know. I grew up in Charleston and graduated from the College of Charleston. That's no different, though, in my opinion, Reynard Lake. And I know you're not saying that from a negative point of view, or from a, I hear, I don't see your tone as being whatever. But I see the same thing in certain areas in North Carolina, Texas, Ohio, and these are places that I know. Even Wisconsin and these, again, there are certain areas in this country that are very patriarchal. Okay, Luna says Tulsa is no kingmaker. Oh, yes, I know. Okay, Delphine Chimbakala says, I hear you. I see that the Clyburn endorsement played 49 out of 50% role of this vote. You're right about patriarchy. I grew up in Africa. Trust me, I get it. I get it. I was wondering where the name was from, Miss Chimbakala. But yeah, so I mean, that is now, South Carolina, Anita Hill, no, the squad plus one. Come on now. We don't have to. Look, we just need to keep moving forward and moving the message forward and teaching people and enlightening people. You enlighten people when you come to them with respect. If you don't know something. I am dumb at certain things. I was dumb on the issue of LGBTQ. I'm from Panama. We are very homophobic people. I am now one of the biggest gay advocates. I wasn't like that when I came to this country. I was an idiot. Why? Why was I an idiot? Because I was dumb. I was uninformed. The culture that I came from, it misinformed me. But I learned. And the same can happen with all these other people that we know right now are not necessarily voting the way we think they should vote. Okay, the Squad Plus says Warren talks a good game. She's a far progressive. We don't need to go there, brother Squad, the Squad Plus one. We don't need to go there. Elizabeth Warren has close ties to Hillary Clinton. That's all need to be said. You said she's a fraud. You know she's a fraud. She endorsed Hillary, again, politics is a very difficult thing. And well, I won't go there. But I don't think I'm wrong, the squad plus one. If I'm wrong at the end of all of this, for all of those who watch my program, you know I'm going to come out and say, hey guys, I was wrong. I have no problem being wrong. I care more about doing things for the body politic positively than trying to be right when I'm wrong. I think right now, I think I am right. I think I am right. In fact, I'm pretty darn sure I'm right. But if I'm wrong, I don't have a problem coming out and saying that. Manuel Herrera says, please tell us again why you think Bernie can win the whole damn thing. In my heart, I'm voting for him because he doesn't change his positions for political expediency. When asked about Cuba, he defended the position literacy. He did not. Okay, let me tell you why Bernie can win. Let me tell you why. We have to first win the nomination, okay? I think it's going to be much harder for Bernie to win the nomination than to win the whole damn thing. The nomination, the party can play a lot of shenanigans. And that's the reason why I want Elizabeth Warren in, and that's the reason why I want Bernie Sanders to start making certain points. I've written to Nina Turner and several others as far as some things that I think could be said in these debates that can turn more Americans away from the status quo. I think we have the time to do it. I think after Super Tuesday, Bernie is going to be so far ahead that he can start tweaking his message in such a manner that it is more authentic to people that are not just the Democratic base, but others. There is a way to do it. So Manuel Herrera, what I'm saying is go out there and get people. I worked Nevada. I worked in a Latino area because I speak Spanish. I'm from Panama, so hablo español muy bien. Soy Latino también, Caribiano, Negro, all those things together. And we were able to not only convince people of the message, but people started telling us story. Oh, this is why what you're saying would be good for me. And we had people all over the Latino communities. We were in front of Latino grocery stores and everything, talking to people, registering people. And the good thing about Nevada, it's a same-day registration state. So people were registering, and people were going. And, we had a great time in Nevada, and the win shows it. We spoke not at the people. We engaged the people. And that is something that I don't know how much was done in South Carolina. I kind of have a feeling South Carolina was ceded to Joe Biden a long time ago. Daphne says, or Delphine Chimbakala says, if we don't understand exactly the mindset of the black vote in the Deep South, we won't be able to address how to message more effectively. And that's what I'm saying. I think, first of all, Delphine, you're absolutely right. You have to understand the mindset of, explaining the mindset, it's a patriarchal mindset, and it's a mindset many times that says, let me do something safe because if I go on a limb, I may end up burned. What we have to make is we have to make the status quo more dangerous than being burnt. In other words, we can't lie to them and say that, we are definitely going to get this done right. What we have to let them understand is that the status quo is worse than fighting and losing. Again, the status quo is worse than fighting and losing. If you can make that point, then you're not scared of losing, so you are willing to win. And that is what a lot of folks don't understand. Caution. I remember when the Oilers, the Houston Oilers of the old days went and they played in New York against the Buffalo Bills, and they're up by so many points, and they decide to play a game not to lose. Ultimately, those who play games not to lose generally lose. And if you look at black people throughout the South, they have all lost. And they've lost because they have never used the power of the South. The numbers that they have in the South, which in general proportionally is larger than that in the North. They have been always taught not to use that power just because, oh, we can't win anyway. Again, breaking through that comes with respecting the people, respecting their history, respecting where they've been, respecting how they've been controlled, respecting how the mindset, like Miss Chimbakala has said, how the mindset evolves, and try to be a part of that evolution. Okay, Mr. X's campaign is being run. Okay, let's see. Okay, I get where you're going, Mr. X. I do. Raynard Blake says, in South Carolina, particularly in Charleston, black people are fearful. They don't want to challenge it. Yeah, exactly. And that is a true statement. That's a true statement. Luna says, Bernie will do well on Super Tuesday. Yes, he will. It's time to move on from South Carolina, a red state, and vote and won't vote them in general. We don't know that. That is what I'm saying, Luna. Let's not stick with the status quo. I want to put all 50 states into contention. Delphine Chimbakala says, my name is from Congo. I'm mixed. My mom is French and my father is from Congo. You go, girl. Power to you. Renard Blake says, true, Luna. The Squad Plus says, not your brother. I'm a chick and Native American. Oh, the Squad, I'm so sorry. Forgive me for assuming you are a brother. So may I call you my sister, the Squad Plus One. I believe I'm my brothers and sisters' keeper. Don't tell me where to or go or how to express myself. Did I try to do that? If so, I apologize. I never tried to do that. Forgive me if I did. Let's see. Luna Diana says politics make strange bedfellows. Warren wanted a voice in the Clinton admin and made a bad prediction. Many did. Yes. Elizabeth Warren is not an ally brother. Well, Mr. X, like I told you, if I'm wrong, I will admit it. The Squad Plus says Warren is caucusing with the GOP. What is it going to take? I don't know, the Squad Plus One. Let's see. Lynn Collins replying to Salas. Prospect Politics, Carolina closing poll location without notice. I don't know what that means. I'll read it up later. Delphine Chimbakala says, and because I'm French, I have an egalitarian universality train of thoughts. So it's almost anathema to me to live in a country that is so hyper-racialized. Yeah, but let's be clear about one thing, Miss Chambakala, because I talk to this a whole lot of times, right? A lot of European countries put us down for a lot of the racism in this country. Our racism is a bit more overt than the racism in Europe. I challenge you to tell me which European country has elected a black person or a person of color as their head of state. As racist as America is, America has done so. I think Europe is more egalitarian. You are correct, absolutely so. Great health care and the works. But they also have their problems, and in fact, that is a reason they have the rise of the right wing in Europe as well. Luna Diana says, I don't have much love for Warren, but we need her voters. Yes, ma'am, you're absolutely correct. That means not trashing her. I agree with you, but I don't not like her either. I actually kind of like her. Actually, I do like Elizabeth Warren. I think Elizabeth Warren, the same reasons that we have with the South Carolina voter are some of the impacts to, in my opinion, and women, you can slap me up for this, that women have, right? And that is, when you have been oppressed for such a long time, it is hard for you not to flinch when the whip is coming. And that is exactly what happened with Elizabeth Warren. They tricked her, not tricked her, but, she felt that resistance and thought she had to make some modification. And I don't have I can understand that. Manuel Herrera, thank you. Si se puede. Claro que sí se puede, Manuel. Tú sabes que nosotros vamos a ganar todo esto. Mr. X, you need to stop watching corporate media. Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, and Michael Billman are all established. Well, I mean, if you read my stuff, Mr. X, you'll see that I've written that so many times. All right, Squad. Warren's first move was to lie and trash Bernie after South Carolina. Her voters, or Hillbots, not... She does have a lot of Hillary Clinton supporters, many of which are my friends. And by the way, many of them who actually helped me go to do as a true Bernie delegate to Philadelphia. So, I mean, I am more a uniter, and, we share a lot of differences, but there's a lot of similarities. So I try to keep people united, the Squad Plus One. And, that may just be... I don't consider it a flaw. I consider it a good thing. Okay, Mr. X says, I remember that game. Raynard Blake says, If Bernie gets a nomination, Nina Turner and Stacey Abrams are going to have to live in South Carolina to assure. Oh, wow. I like that one. I remember when the Buffalo Bills came back from one. Yeah, you remember that? That was a crazy game, man. Stacey Abrams sold out. Yeah, she took $25 million from Bloomberg's. The squad plus. Man, why do I have so many damn smart viewers who just know what's going on? I'm just playing with you guys. I've always had you great folks that listen to this program. Folks, don't forget if you like what you're doing and you like, check out our website, Egberto. You know what? I better put that up there. Make sure to visit this website, and also where I write a lot of my articles. And please share it. And the radio show that we do, we keep it politicsdoneright.com. The radio show that we do is right there. So please remember, visit the radio show as well and be a part of it. And if you go ahead and super chat me, I'll say whatever it is that you need me to say from a super chat. We need your support. And in fact, what I'm going to do right now is tell you how you can always say, you know what? I want to make sure and support shows that are doing positive things, that are making sure that we inform our people. So you can always become a subscriber to Politics Done Right. I just put that link inside of there. Become a subscriber if you want to help us with our remote equipment to cover. You know, we covered it in South Carolina, no, rather in Nevada. We want to go to a few other places as well. And of course, if you want to go ahead and get our shirt, just visit our store and say, I support independent media. And how can you get that? Check that out right there, storepolitics.com. Anyway, you can always go and support or get our T-shirts to support the media. Let me continue answering those great questions that you guys, or putting out those statements that you guys have. South Carolina isn't voting Democratic. I believe in 50-state strategy, but we need to be realistic about South Carolina's history and political culture. What's worse than working in the textile industry leaving? Oh, boy. And yes, and, you know, we ought to tag. That is a perfect tag on not only neoliberalism, but the perfect tag on Donald Trump. Manuel Herrera says, I think Biden voters are more likely to back Bernie if he gets the nomination than the other way around. I am likely in agreement with you there. Although we have to remember that the converse is not true, right? Less Hillary Clinton voters, what's the numbers? Less of the Hillary Clinton voter voted for Obama than the Bernie voted for Clinton. So in other words, Clinton had better support from Bernie voters than Obama had from Clinton voters. Please remember that number. Okay, let's say, of course, racism is prevalent. And Ms. Chimbakala says, of course, racism is prevalent in Europe, specifically right now. Okay, zero black president, but the police is not terrorizing and shooting at us. I never had to think if I was going to college or not. You're right. I can't argue with that statement. You're absolutely right. You know, there's so many differences, similarities, and all of that with the type of racism that we have in all these different places. She had bad consultants, and Warren doesn't have the best political instincts. She doesn't have, a lot of times she doesn't have any political instincts, in my opinion. She's very, very smart, but she doesn't have a lot of political instincts. And that comes from her just being a professor and not integrating very well in the political domain, in my humble opinion, that is. Okay, let's see. Dan Kittering says he acts old and frail. I think you're talking about Biden. If that's the case, I agree. And Mr. X, the squad plus one, no problem. It's the squad plus one. Unify those who want to unify, not use us as backboards to score undeserved points. I don't know if I understand what you mean by that, the squad, but you maybe can explain that to me so that I can, so I can categorize in my head. When I say unify, I'm not talking about unify for the purpose, for just the blank purpose of unifying. I'm talking about us unifying out of necessity. Because let me read Daphne's stuff, then I'm going to give a short monologue because I really want to get this out. I really want to tell you guys something. My health insurance card is the same as anyone. Yes, you're right. Race was not a factor in where I can live. Zero student debt. Daphne, You need to be preaching that all over the United States. Are you in the United States, by the way, Daphne, or are you living elsewhere just being a part of the discussion here? I'm curious. Because we need, those are the narratives that we need. Those are the testimonies that we need from Americans who know about abroad. Because the problem is most Americans cannot fathom that things can be much better and that people in Europe have it that much better than us when we pat ourselves on the back, always thinking we are number one, we are number one. Okay, the squad corrected for me, and she says, "Unify with those who want to unify, not to use us as backboards for undeserved points." I think I get it now. I think I get that. I think what you're saying is you don't want to unify just for the sake of unification when you're still going to get slapped around. In other words, you're just being used for the purpose of unification and otherwise not worth it. Okay, what I do want to make a point on was a comment that somebody made, and that was who was it that made that comment? And then I'm going to come. Let's see. Daphne says, I was hired to teach in college. After I finished my studies, my qualities mattered, not the color of my skin. Great. I love that. Correct. Thank you, squad, for setting me straight and making sure that I got that right. Don't forget that Hillary was dealing with major third party, and Bernie may have had Republicans crossing over in primaries and returning home in general. That always happens, but it doesn't happen in very large quantities as one may think. Okay. I had something that I wanted to say. I don't remember who queued it. Let me find the person that queued it. The message that I wanted to talk about. Look, it is important, I think, that going forward, we set the right tone. We have a big win by Biden. Congratulate Biden. His people are the people who want Biden to win are very happy right now. Let's be happy for them. Let's ask them to be happy for us after Super Tuesday, assuming Super Tuesday go as we expected it to be. And as such, let's also be humble. Let's show some humility if Tuesday goes the way it does. Because I can guarantee you the mainstream media is going to go bat you know what crazy if and when that occurs. But anyhow, I'm going to be shut. If nobody has anything else to add, this has gone a bit longer than I expected it to, but I love you guys. And I just needed to have this stuff this time out to make these comments. Let's go ahead, chalk up today for what it's worth. Landslide win for Biden. Biden is now the popular vote leader. Let's be frank. Biden is now the popular vote leader. Let's give him the hooray for that. Let's give him the blessings for that. Because when Buttigieg won the delegate count but lost the popular vote and claimed victory, that was a sour taste in our mouth. I believe in the popular vote. Let's go ahead and give Joe Biden the praises as being the front runner in the popular vote at this instant in time. It will likely change on Tuesday. And let's then demand, just like we are going to give him the kudos for what he has done, let's demand the same that they give us when those of us that are supporting Bernie are the ones. So Delphine Chimbakala says, so yes, we have it better. I'm not judging. I love the USA. Part of my family lives in Georgia. My sister lives in Canada. I live in Paris and visit the USA twice a year, to answer your question. Thank you so kindly for that answer. Mr. X, yes, it will change. And Mr. X, let's stay together. Let's win this damn thing. William Armstead Bussain. I was just about to leave the program and I get more messages in, and I will never leave a message hanging. William Armstead Bussain says, as sad as it is to say, there are a number of Trump supporters who would jump ship to vote for Sanders. I've seen video of a few of them saying that, and I know one as well. Sanders will win if he is nominated, and in that same vote, the Democrats will win both houses of the legislature. Vote, young people. This is on you. Wow. You must not have seen it from the beginning. We said that in the beginning, but thank you so kindly, William Armstead Bussain. They've already begun. The media, DNC, and the linear line establishment political corp criminals are attacking. Liz being the first, not giving centrist anything. They lie. Yeah, we do. We know they lie. But you know what? The truth will win. If our young people, our millennials, our younger Gen Xers vote appropriately, we will win. Folks, I'm getting ready to close this baby down. I want to thank you guys who spent this time with me here at Politics Done Right. This is a special edition. We run Mondays through Fridays at 3 p.m. Central. Every Monday through Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Through at 3 p.m. Central Standard. I do these ad hoc shows when something comes up and I think it's warranted. Good night, Mr. X. It was a pleasure having you. It's a pleasure having all of you that came to the show today. I want to urge all of you to do support the show or share the show, encourage others to share it. This is an ad hoc one just to discuss the current state of our election. It'll get better. So thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much, Daphne, for watching the show. I really appreciate all of you. And let's see what you said. You're welcome. I watched the show for some months when we are 3, 4, 8 people. I like to support independent media and value each voice. Thank you so kindly. Folks, you guys have a wonderful rest of the night. Stay positive. And you know what? We'll win. Share the show, my friends. And bye-bye. You know how I end this baby. My name is Egberto Willies. And you know what? I am what? Out!